The whisper in the dark, opening music, soft, mysterious tones. Voyager 1 drifts alone through the endless, black void, silent, ancient, and yet, astonishingly, still very much alive. A technological ghost from another century, this lone spacecraft now floats farther from Earth than any human creation in history. Launched in the summer of 1977, Voyager 1 was never meant to last this long, and it was certainly never meant to go this far. Its original mission was modest by today's standards: fly past Jupiter and Saturn, take some pictures, collect a few readings, and fade quietly into the darkness. It was a postcard mission, brief, brilliant, and bound to be forgotten. But Voyager refused to be forgotten. It refused to die. Its heart, a plutonium power source, still pulses with decaying warmth. Its 3.7-meter high-gain antenna still aims itself back toward Earth, whispering across 22 billion kilometers of emptiness. And though decades have passed since it last saw a planet up close, it continues to send back data, quiet pulses from the edge of the void. A steady, faithful heartbeat, from beyond the edge of the Sun's protective influence. Voyager 1 has now crossed the heliopause, the boundary where the solar wind meets the pressure of interstellar space. Beyond this invisible line, the solar system ends and the unknown begins. Out here, there is no light from the Sun. No gravitational pull from familiar planets. Only dust, cosmic rays, magnetic fields, and silence. Or so we thought. In May of last year, mission controllers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, noticed something peculiar. The Attitude Articulation and Control System, or AACS, the part of Voyager 1 that keeps its antenna precisely aimed at Earth, suddenly began transmitting data that made no sense. Not just a glitch, not just a corrupted line or a flipped bit. This was gibberish, incoherent, scrambled, inexplicable. And yet, strangely, everything else appeared fine. The signal remained strong. The spacecraft's orientation hadn't drifted. Its science instruments continued collecting and transmitting data. Voyager 1 was, somehow, still pointing at Earth with remarkable accuracy. Even more baffling, engineers discovered that the AACS data was being routed through an onboard computer that had been declared non-functional for decades. That system wasn't supposed to be active. No command had ever been sent to wake it up. It was, for all practical purposes, a ghost long dead, and yet suddenly speaking. It was as if the spacecraft had suffered a kind of neurological event, a stroke in deep space, and then calmly rerouted its speech through an old, forgotten voicebox, as if nothing had happened. NASA's engineering teams scrambled to understand what was going on. Weeks were spent poring over command logs, reviewing radiation reports, checking for solar storms, meteor strikes, or failing components. But they found nothing. No plausible trigger. No human error. No natural event that could have caused this sudden, ghostly reroute. Eventually, the team succeeded in issuing a fix. They redirected the AACS back through its proper, modern channel, and the scrambled transmissions stopped. The data returned to normal. But the deeper question, the one that gnawed at everyone involved, remained unanswered. Why did it happen in the first place? No known process inside the spacecraft could explain the change. There had been no hardware failure. No spike in radiation. No mechanical damage. Nothing that fit any model of behavior they had seen before. So, what did happen? Some engineers chalked it up to chance, perhaps a random cosmic ray striking just the right spot to flip a bit. Others suggested that a decaying part of the spacecraft's ancient circuitry might have briefly rerouted itself in a desperate attempt at self-preservation. But even those explanations felt like guesses, and unsatisfying ones at that. And then, the more unsettling possibility arose. What if this wasn't just an internal malfunction? What if something external, something Voyager encountered out there, beyond the heliopause, had interacted with the spacecraft in a way we don't yet understand? Because Voyager 1 isn't just drifting through deep space. It's drifting through the unknown and unexplored frontier filled with energies, forces, and perhaps phenomena that human instruments have never encountered before. A place where something or someone could be waiting. The incident was resolved. The systems were stable. The mission continued. But in the silent control rooms of JPL, a sense of unease remained. Not because something broke, but because something changed. And no one could explain why. The pulse beyond the heliosphere. Just as the engineers were beginning to exhale relieved that Voyager 1 had returned to normal, something else happened. The plasma wave instrument, one of Voyager's key tools for measuring interstellar conditions, began reporting something new. At first, the data appeared normal, the typical hum of interstellar plasma. But embedded within it, analysts noticed an irregularity. A spike. Brief. Rhythmic. Like a heartbeat. It pulsed once. Then again. And then, nothing. The spike didn't match any known cosmic event. It wasn't tied to solar winds. It wasn't a product of background radiation or magnetic interference. It simply didn't belong. Even more bizarre, when scientists tried to trace the signal back through Voyager's raw telemetry, it appeared to have vanished. Like it had never happened. Like a dream fading seconds after waking. Some called it a phantom event. But others believed it was something more, something real. NASA analysts dove into the data. Not just the main readings, but the noise, the electromagnetic hum, the subtle shifts in signal strength, the tiniest fluctuations. They were looking for anything that might explain the anomaly. And what they found was chilling. Buried deep in the carrier signal, the very frequency Voyager uses to talk to Earth, were patterns. Not obvious. Not loud. But unmistakably there. Repeating harmonics. Rhythmic sequences. Microscopic fluctuations, too consistent to be dismissed as random static. One veteran NASA engineer reportedly said, "It's like something is knocking from the other side of a wall we didn't know existed." The data was fed into advanced AI models trained to detect structure in chaos. And those models responded. They saw syntax. They found structure. As if the noise wasn't noise at all, but a message. This wasn't part of the spacecraft's programming. This wasn't part of any known protocol. This was other. For decades, Voyager's golden record has floated through space as humanity's message to the stars. A declaration. We are here. But now, scientists were grappling with a terrifying question. What if something answered? Not with words. Not with numbers. But with a change in behavior. A technical glitch that wasn't random at all. NASA's contact protocols, theoretical as they are, assume a clear message. Something mathematical. Something universal. But what if first contact doesn't follow the script? What if it begins not with a signal, but with a malfunction? What if it starts with a whisper in the data? As scientists combed through the implications, a new and disturbing pattern emerged. The anomalies stopped. No more pulses. No more patterns. Voyager's systems returned to perfect, eerie normalcy. And that more than anything scared them. Because sometimes, the most chilling scream is the one that ends suddenly. One physicist put it this way: we expected silence from the void. But this wasn't silence. This was patience. So now, Voyager 1, a machine older than the personal computer, older than the internet, may be something more than a spacecraft. It may be a witness. To what? We don't know. Maybe it brushed past something ancient. Maybe it crossed a threshold we didn't know existed. Maybe it was simply watched, and in that moment, acknowledged. And now, the question isn't whether we're alone in the universe. It's whether something out there just responded. If this was their first whisper, what happens when they decide to speak louder? Music fades into static.